Pull that down to about 45. It's where I had it last time. Hi friends and foes, BearNPC here for Crestfallen LARP. Hope everybody's doing well after the holiday break. Pardon me. Yeah. I normally do my Final Fantasy games on Mondays in this time slot. I've been doing really well keeping up with it, but I've wanted to do LARP content, and I've been holding off on doing it because of, my nervousness on the camera, and I get really hung up on the script, and I sound very monotonous. I always sound monotonous, but a lot less so in these live streams, at least I think. Could be projecting. I don't know. But, so yeah, the editing really has me off. And, so I'm trying to force myself to do these live streams to get through all the content. So, everybody has a little bit better context of what we're trying to do here at Crestfallen. My setup is all kinds of wonky. My camera is right over here. I am working on the second camera setup so I can look directly at it. But let's go ahead and get into our topic for today. Pardon me. Which is item creation and spell creation in Crestfallen, because it is very, very different from what a lot of people in our typical LARP community do. Most games give you a standard spell list that you can pick out, and spells per level, very Vancian system from days past kind of deal. Crestfallen's a lot different. We have a set spell list that gives some guidelines, but we'll get into all that. I don't really have anybody in stream right at this second, possibly because I didn't say anything in the Discord. Maybe I should do that. Okay. Hi. How are you doing, kiddo? So I have that in the Discord on the announcements page, as per usual. We always like to, good kid. We always like to kind of reference the fact that if you are joining Crestfallen LARP as your first LARP or your first time with us, we have a lot of resources. We want to direct you there first rather than have any confusion. We always suggest talk on our Discord, check out the rules on the rule book on the website. So www.crestfallenlarp.com. If you add on to that /Discord, that is our link for our Discord. And our email address is crestfallenlarp@gmail.com. Those are all the best ways to get a hold of us, to talk with us. I talked a lot about that in the last stream, so I'm not going to hit that very hard right now. But let's go ahead and take a look at crafting. I'm going to talk a little bit about how crafting is in other games. I am going to end up probably talking about, give me 1 second. Is this the one I want, or, and they're the same. All good. Okay. So crestfallenlarp.com, the main website will take you here. Our next event is listed here. Now okay, it's still playing. The Tavern Night is going to be on January 31st. It's a Saturday. All of the info will be on the website. It is not currently because I sent in the check. I have the verbal confirmation that it is confirmed, but the check was not cashed. And until that point, I am not going to believe we have it scheduled. Same as our schedule for events for next year. We should know by February. I sent all of the stuff in for that. So we should be good, but yeah. Okay. You two have fun. Be good. Don't you distract yourself too much with the old man that is streaming nerdy LARP stuff. So anyway, on our website, if you wanted to look up item crafting and spell creation and stuff like that, that is in our rules tab, which is in our upper A. Let me move that. Our upper right-hand corner. All right, there. Click on rules. And if you look back kind of behind where my brain is on here, we have crafting, science and technology, and email prompts. These are going to be the two sections we're going to be looking at most today. So yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the crafting system. Okay. I'm going to move this over a little bit. And skadoosh. Okay. So we have 3 different craft types. They are all listed over on the right hand side here. We have there are 3 tiers of crafting, technically 4, and there are 3 different types of crafting. Okay, so we have alchemy, which is all kind of potions and salves and alcohols and things of that nature. We have enchanting, which are creating wands and magical items that have charges and things of that nature. And then we have forging, that are all of your physical items, all of your weapons, your armor, things like that. And we do have some things that cross between those 3 different kind of systems. And most times that lends itself to the technology crafting, which is the kind of 4th tier. Technology is anything that is, well, done through technology, but they're normally combinations of at least 2 of those crafting skills. So for example, we do have firearms in our game. They're something that humans have learned to craft off by heart. But if you get technology crafting, you can make them. They're essentially a combination of forging and alchemy, as you know, the powder to fire a blaster and things of that nature. I am very not good at keeping the language appropriate for the YouTube. So I'm going to try my best on that, but I'm going to have hiccups just because my brain doesn't work necessarily in that way. None of these videos are monetized, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. So Maybe later if we get a little bit more professional, that'll work out for us. So this is the basic layout of our tag system. One side will list, well, technically both sides list the item's name. It'll list what the prop for the item is. It'll explain what the item does in the bottom box. And then on the opposite side, it will list the item's durability. Now, it's really important to know some LARP games use a system where items last for a certain real life amount of time. You know, a week, a month, 6 months, a year, stuff like that. I grew up with those systems. I do not enjoy them because whenever you are a player that doesn't get to play as often, you are penalized. And so it kind of forces you into that FOMO that I kind of dislike for LARPs. And so the durability system is partially there because as long as your item isn't broken by a game effect or anything of that nature, you can keep using it. But the added bonus is durability can also be used for like charged magic items like wands and things like that. So if it's a potion, the potion might say, this item, whenever you use it, uses 1 durability to heal X amount. And we'll kind of get into that. So each of those 3, alchemy, enchanting, forging, of those 3 craft types have 3 different levels that they can go to without combining. We have basic, we have augmentation, and we have mastery. Do I want anything from the Marquette? I could go for another drink, be it a Diet Mountain Dew or a Code Red or a Cherry Pepsi or something like that. That would be awesome if you don't mind. Is Nay taking you? Or are you walking? Or if you're walking, please be careful. It's very windy out. Also, it is very windy out, so if I lose the stream, I apologize in advance. Cool. Yeah, if you could grab me like a 2 liter of something that I will probably chug on stream, that would be awesome. I'd greatly appreciate it. So yeah, so we have 3 different types of tiers of crafting. We have basic, augmentation, and mastery. Basic is the kind that you start with first, and it is the most restrictive, and it is kind of the easiest to follow. And I did that on purpose. For those that don't understand kind of how our crafting system works, it basically gives you some basics that you don't have to create anything on your own. So any items that you make with the basic level of crafting are written on your character sheet. They're temporary items. They will last until the end of the event, so you can make a lot of them cheap. But once the event is over, they are gone, so you can't stockpile them. You don't get item tags for them. In a lot of other games, you get tags for every single item you have, and that can be very, very tedious, especially with the date durations rather than the durations we have. So you have treasure boxes full of silvered saps and lesser potions and things that you will never use, but you stockpile them anyway. We try to minimize that kind of bookkeeping. So whenever you want to build basic build items for any of the 3 crafts, they last the duration of the event or until used or until destroyed. A break effect destroys a basic build item. So if you have a basic longsword, it blows up with a break effect or a destroy effect. You cannot repair them. These items are marked on the character sheet and cannot be traded between characters after creation. That's an important part. You can make these items and you can divvy them out to other character sheets, and we can write them on other character sheets when you make them. After that, they're stuck on characters. So kind of like bind to accounts in online games, stuff like that. All basic build items require an appropriate prop in their description. This item is required to use the effect of a basic build item. One basic crafting component and 30 minutes of acting out the brewing, building, or enchanting creates 5 basic build items or the craft effect. So if you look down here, we have alchemy. It has the little potion vial effect thing. And then it lists the 4 basic build items that you can make. You can make 5 of these items for each 1 basic crafting and 30 minutes of your time. Important to note, there are skills and items in the game that can reduce that 30 minutes of time. So everybody normally gets really up in arms that, oh, 30 minutes of time, that's a long time. It can be, but there are ways to mitigate that to make it more effective for you. You could build a workshop or a potion that reduces time, or a plot effect that reduces time. Lots of things can change that. We try to make it so there's always a minimum. But yeah. Basic build items for alchemy include an alchemical grenade. It does 5 damage. An alchemical flashbang, which does the call is alchemy knockback. The Tanglefoot bag, which is alchemy and Tanglefoot, and alcohol, which is a roleplay basic effect where you drink, and it's alcohol and it's poison that affects you. It doesn't do anything good for you, but you can roleplay the drunk kind of roleplay if that's something that you want to do, and it grants you the distracted effect for a short duration. So you can stock up on those for an event. The craft effect that alchemists can make is poisoning a weapon. Now that includes brawlers. If you're punching or things like that, that is any bladed weapon, any weapon whatsoever. It's not the poison damage or condition or anything like that. You just deal 1 additional point of damage with that weapon until it's broken or destroyed. Can't use it on firearms. Lots of people end up using this early game, and I think it's a really good use. You should be paying your alchemist to do that kind of stuff. But all of these things are useful basic items that I could see people paying money for to, start off a game with enough things that they can do. Okay. After alchemy, we move on to enchanting. Enchanting, you can build a healing potion, which somebody drinks it and it's 5 healing. A hardiness potion, which gives 5 temporary body points. So it says directly in here, a character may drink or be fed this potion with a verbal of 5 body. This potion grants 5 additional body points, which are lost before costuming and normal body points. Character may only have additional body points from one source at a time. The highest value takes precedence. So if any spells come into the game that give temporary hit points, whether it's like a vampiric drain type thing where you're stealing something's essence to give yourself temporary body, or it is like a golem suit or something like that that gives temporary body, you can only have one source at a time on that. Then we have the enchanted armor wand, and it works very similar to that. It gives you 5 armor points. They're additional in addition to what you're already wearing, and they stack over the maximum points. But you can only have one version of that. So that would be 5 extra armor points over however many your total is, in a similar way. And then you have a mana potion, this is a very, very basic mana potion where you regain 1 energy whenever you drink it. But the drawback is you can only drink 5 of these basic build mana potions per event. So use them wisely. Later on, you can make other ones possibly where you could gain more energy and not have that kind of restriction. Enchanting has its own craft effect, which is the Rune of Protection. Character may wear 1 Rune of Protection at any given time. The first spell that hits a character wearing a Rune of Protection is negated with the Call of Resist. This resist must be used regardless of the spell being thrown. A spell that is cast via touch does not trigger this resist. So in clarification on that, that works on any we don't have anything that specifies this is a spell, this is alchemy, this is a forging effect, anything like that. So basically this Rune of Protection will protect you from any condition, whether it is thrown or fired from a blaster or anything like that calls a resist. We want the game to be simple. So to clarify on that, it's any kind of condition, not damage, but any kind of condition. And it's the first one that hits you. So if you don't use it, it's gone. We don't want a lot of protective spells in the game because then you have to have a hierarchy. Then you have to have a specific list of what counters what. And that gets really wonky and crazy. So we just wanted the single protective right now that works like this. There are others that have been added to the game, but they are also very, very specific. And then whenever it comes to forging, it is basically making any of our weapon types. We have basically 3 weapon groups. We have one-handed weapons, we have two-handed weapons, and we have ranged weapons. So ranged weapons are any thrown weapon or crossbows or bows, or anything that shoots a projectile that is not a firearm. So we have items that work under that kind of mechanic, that are not your typical kind of ranged weapon that some LARPs use. And we don't use live fire arrows. That's something that's not allowable by our insurance. So please keep that in mind. It's all packet-based or nerf-based ranged weapons. So we have those 3 types: one-handed, two-handed, ranged weapon. And then we have shield or buckler shield. They have their dimensions listed here. And then we have armor. You don't need to have a specific tag for a sword versus a hammer versus an axe versus a this or that. It's a one-handed weapon, a two-handed weapon, a ranged weapon, a shield, or armor. Your armor doesn't have to have a certain value or anything like that. If it's a magical item or something on down the line, that might be different. But all of the basic tags give you whatever max points you can wear at the time. The craft effect for forging. I think this is super useful. I think this really needs to be hammered home for everybody. Okay. Repair item. If any tagged item gains the broken condition, whether it is a wand, whether it is a weapon, whether it is a shield or armor, things like that, the repair item effect can be used to fix that item. Okay? So to repair an item tag, crafter must put their character number. We don't so much do that. But basically what you have to do is you have to take I'm reading it all. So it takes 30 minutes to do the craft effect, right? Armor that has not lost all of its points and gained the broken condition can be repaired with no resource cost, no durability loss, and 5 minutes of acting out the repair. So if you have a suit of armor and it gets lightly damaged, you don't need to take 30 minutes to fix that armor. It takes 5 minutes. And yet again, something might reduce that time. If it is taken down to the broken condition, it takes 30 minutes to fix. The important thing for people to realize is broken effects happen more often on, oh, I know she's windy. It's bad out. Just be careful, okay? The important thing for people to realize is weapons and armor and shields are going to get broken much more often because they're used in combat. But there's nothing saying you can't use the broken condition on other items. Once that item is broken, it can't be used until it is repaired. So if there is an item tag that is a building, that item can gain the broken condition and it can't be used until it is repaired, which takes 30 minutes and whatnot. If there is a more common item, honestly, it's weird to think about, but it could happen. You could have a potion with a broken condition. Maybe the cork on the potion just got jammed into the bottle. Yes, I'm sure it does. You could jam the cork into the potion bottle and not be able to get it unstuck. So you can't use that potion. Is it a fringe case? Yes. Totally a fringe case. But something to keep in mind. Lots of people were upset that in some of the other games, repairing armor just takes 60 seconds of tapping on it to reset the plates. Not super realistic. Not that we're going for realism for the game, but we want to make people with forging viable. We want them to be able to fix armor and weapons and stuff and make money for it. So we needed to make sure that armor and such, didn't get fixed quite so easily. So that's all the basic build stuff. If anybody has any questions on that, feel free to throw them in the chat. But that's all you can do with them. You cannot make physical item tags with basic crafting. You can just make these crafted items, these basic build items that get listed on your character sheet. That's it. Easy peasy. But the nice part is you can start game being able to make pretty much anything that you need to start, especially if you lost all your tags or things of that nature. Most times somebody will give you a basic resource that you can build whatever you need to get her going. Let's go to augmentation. Crafting augmentation is really the bread and butter of where this system starts to get fun, in my mind. In lots of games, there is a definitive list of you can make these items. And while that is good for game balance, it's not necessarily fun. You want to make your own stuff. You want to react to the way plot is acting towards you and design new things. So we have a system where you can create your own items. You can only create one per event that you attend. You cannot make items for events you don't attend, just like you can't get character points for events you don't attend. But the other thing is that you have to turn in your thought process of a design for your item by the registration deadline. And pardon me. And what we try to do is take a look at that item by the Friday before the event, so about a week out, we take a look at all of the items and we try to decide whether the item was created fairly or if it needs any changes. And then we let it there's either three different ways that things can go. One, the item fails outright and we tell you to submit another item or to make a bunch of changes, but we're not sure what changes to make. Option two, the item sounds good. We recommend some changes, and then if you approve of that, we do a blanket approval and you can make that item. You can sell that design to other people. You can trade that design to other people. All good. Or tier 3 is your item may be a little bit too overpowered, or we don't know the best way to handle it. So we're going to let you play test that. If we let you play test that, you're the only one that can make the item. You cannot sell the design to other people. You can't sell copies of it to other people. You can try it out, and then we'll judge it at our symposium. This is also the way that spells work, so I'll probably go over all that again. But those are our three kind of stipulations. So as we're looking at things, your crafting augmentation is limited on what it can and can't do. So, like it says here, if you want to build an item tag where you get an actual physical tag, you need to have the approved project design. You have to spend 30 minutes of acting out, brewing, building, or enchanting the item. That time can be changed, and the cost will be listed on the design. But here are some standardized limiting rules for augmentation, because there's another tier higher than augmentation called mastery. Durability starts at 1 and may be no more than 16. Charged items use 1 durability per use. Items granting bonuses to damage may not exceed +1. So no +2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever weapons. Items dealing spell damage or healing may not exceed 20 points. Items having a set resource cost in basic and common resources only. So, rare resources may be used but have no additional effects on the items. So we have 3 different types of resources that we use. We have basic resources, common resources, and rare resources. Basic are used across all 3 of the crafting types. Common are broken down into their 3 types: alchemy, forging, enchanting. So you can't use forging resources on an alchemy thing unless the design specifically states so. Okay. And then rare resources are cool and named, and their cards are cut out on our laser engraver that we have. And well, I have, and I've been doing that. I think it's super fun. They have plot stuff written on them, which we highly recommend people use to base their thought processes on what the items can do. But yeah, the rare resources can't have any additional effect on anything at the augmentation level. So this is where you start getting into, some do come from different worlds. And that's kind of tied to our lore. Lots of different worlds commingle onto Catalosa itself. And so magic being magic, it works differently in different places. So it can have weird, wonky effects that don't necessarily make sense all the time. So we're going to look at some augmentation project designs. Okay. Common armor. Its prop is armor. It has 8 durability. It's forging. Can be repaired whenever it's broken, but loses 1 durability. Makes sense. Common 2-handed weapon, ranged weapon, shield, common 1-handed weapon. All those basically do the exact same thing. It exists. You can use it as a weapon. You can use it for its normal game skills. They don't have anything special on it. Tanglefoot bag. That's an alchemy one. The bag prop with spell ammo. Spell ammo, we use the Nerf rival rounds, the branded Nerf ones or the generic ones. We suggest the Nerf ones because they don't jam blasters. Or the larger foam. They have to be foam, multicolored golf balls. For the loss of 1 durability, allows the user to throw a spell ammo with the Entanglefoot call. So that would be Alchemy Entanglefoot would be the call. Elven Wine. For the loss of 1 durability and 3 seconds of acting out drinking, grants the target 2 additional stamina points. Elves gain 4 instead because it's Elven Wine. Dwarven Ale, very, very similarly. You for 1 durability and 3 seconds of acting out, target it gains 4 stamina, but non-dwarf characters gain the dazed condition for 10 minutes. So it has a possibility of being problematic. Common alcohol resource bag. For the loss of 1 durability, grants the user 1 basic resource or 1 item from a basic build list. Common fire wand, ice wand, stone wand, and lightning wand for enchanting. It gives you an incant that lets you do elemental damage for the loss of 1 durability. Wind up mouse, super cool prop. I like it. The 1 loss of durability allows the user to scout a job or adventure as per the search area skill. So 3 yes or no questions. Common healing potion for 5 healing. Healing salve. You apply the salve, gives 5 healing or doubles the healing of any medical training used on the target. Super useful. A common forge reduces the time of forging items by 5 minutes. So that would be any repair as well as crafting anything. Alchemy lab and enchanting lab, same kind of deal. So these are a bunch of the basic things that you could do. But it's just trying to give people some ideas of where they can go with augmentation. Sometimes you can stack some of these kind of things onto things, but they will have more costs. Now you notice none of these have costs in resources on them. If you buy this recipe off of somebody or from the guilds or anything like that, it might have a different cost than from other crafters. So it's something to keep in mind. They don't necessarily have the same set cost. You develop a spell or a crafted item, you might make one that uses more resources, either accidentally or trying to, do something different slightly from some other person. After augmentation, we have crafting mastery. So these are, of course, like the higher bonuses of items. So durability starts at 1 and may increase to 32. Unlimited durability items are possible to craft at this level. These are essentially artifact items or items that last forever. They can still get the broken condition. They can still be stopped for temporary durations, but they're never gone forever type aspects. So these are your kind of forever items. Items granting bonuses to damage may not exceed +3. Items dealing spell damage or healing may not exceed 60 points. Items have resource costs based in basic, common, and or rare resources. Additional currency or resources may be required. So we have a bunch of different currencies in the game. We have leaves, which are essentially our money. We have the different types of resources strictly for crafting. But we also list resources as your character's stamina and energy and your body, as well as your essence, which is essentially your life force. How many times you can come back to life in our game. You can gain additional essence, but you can lose essence from plot effects and things of that nature. Those are all resources. So people can be really kind of, they can think of different ways to kind of do those kind of things. Yeah. We don't want to necessarily tell everybody how exactly the magic or the essence or any of that kind of stuff works. So a lot of it is finding out in game. So we may tell you you don't know enough in game about the way these systems work to do this spell now. You might need, or this spell or this crafting right now. You might need to do some research. You might need to figure some stuff out. It is not always so easy and cut and dry. That is something that should be determined before. Oh, interesting. That is something that should be determined before you actually show up at an event. That is all part of the back and forth conversation that we have whenever you are submitting your item for approval. Okay. So after mastery is whenever we get into technology. Combination of 2 or more crafting skills with additional input from other skills within the game. These are tagged items and are wild and varied and require a playtest period as described in the may. I mean, it doesn't say may. So they generally will require a playtest period. But if the character has the appropriate skills and an improved project design, they may spend the resources and 30 minutes to act out creating the item. All technology items have the same limiting rules. Durability of 1 to 32. You cannot ever make a technology item with unlimited durability. Items granting bonuses to damage may not exceed +6. Items dealing spell damage or healing may not exceed 100 points. Items have a set resource cost, basic, common, and or rare resources. Additionally, currency and or resources may be required. And a chance of failure or unforeseen outcomes by plot can occur. We haven't really run into anything in regards to any of that. And the unlimited durability thing may change because of some interactions. What I don't want is a technology item that is big and overpowering to last forever, and then we have to pull it from the game or something like that. I would much rather, I don't want to allow something into the game that is so world breaking that we have to then pull it. We've done similar things in regards to the rules. But whenever it comes to crafted items, I really don't want to see that happen. So I'm trying my best to minimize that. So, like I said, we want people to make their own items, and to make your own item, you need to send it in to us. But what does that look like? Going to email prompts. It lists all of this stuff again, so I know I apologize. It's the same kind of thing. But it lists your limiting rules. Now, this also works for spells and experimental surgeries. Like I didn't bring up surgeries before, but it lists everything, all the kind of stuff that are needed for all of these different things. And so we made a rubric that you should follow whenever you are submitting your items. Player name. This way we can track it. Character name. That way we know which character made it, because you shouldn't be making items for your other character, because you're allowed to have 2 characters in the game. The item name, what type of prop it uses, what crafting types they use, the durability, the resource cost, the effect, and the general concept. Now, the idea of this is you might have an effect that you want to have, and we think it is a little too overpowered, or we might think something might work better for that concept. It gives us an idea of where your brain is going on things. That's why we require the concept portion of things. So I list an example here, so people can go through and read it, but it lists all of the kind of things that you might want to add into your email. And these all have to be through email. We don't take them in private message. We don't answer questions in private message about hold on one moment. Yes. Hey, buddy. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Delivery from Jade, the Goblin Master.
You ready? I'm out now.
Later, bud. It is. Was the wind super dangerous, or did it calm down?
I my head twice.
Fair.
But I got it.
Okay, well, be careful, man. But yeah, so trying to think of where it was. Oh yeah, so everything has to be through Sorry, OBS paused. Everything has to be through email. That way we can track it properly. If we miss something, then we have record of it. We never want to screw anybody over. And a lot of times what happens is people will message in a private message and think that you got something, and think that something was approved when it hasn't been, think they have a good handle on it whenever they don't, or think that they've put it in at the appropriate time and they haven't. We have our time frames on purpose. Crestfallen is not our primary job. It is something we do for fun. Nobody gets paid. I don't take any money from Crestfallen. All the money goes back into Crestfallen for renting the sites and stuff like that. So whenever it comes down to it, if we need to postpone things because of real world stuff, we will, and we have to. And if we ever get to a point where we are big enough that we should have more staff members, then we will. I don't think more staff members right now is a good option. Because 9 times out of 10, what happens is then you have, 10 to 15 people that are all on staff. But that is all of your player base. And then you are just friends running games for other friends, and turns into friendship gaming stuff. And that kind of happens anyway. But it is harder to be objective if everybody at your game is also everybody on staff. Some people don't see it that way. That's fine. I've had, over my years of interaction, I've had enough people that join staff because they want to be, they want to take part and say they are part of something and get benefits from it, enough that they don't do anything and they just reap the rewards of it, and they sit back in the corner and do nothing. I'm not saying that that is how anybody acts on our current staff. And also, the benefits on our game are pretty minimal in comparison to other games. It should be all for the love of the game, the fun. And I don't want it to be a different version of pay to win type deal. So if we get to a point where we need more staff members and there are people that are interested and are willing to put in the time and the effort, cool. But we're going to keep it small for now. But this is the kind of thing that you're going to turn in if you are looking to make any of the crafted items. While we are at it, let's go and look at medical training and surgery. Okay. So, medical training is on the academic list. There are 3 tiers of medical training. They do different things. But the most important one that we're looking at right now is surgery, because it makes items like crafted items. So, surgery allows you to attempt surgery on a target. It takes 20 minutes of acting out, followed by a percentile roll on the appropriate surgery chart, depending on the danger level of the event. If successful, basic surgery removes all negative conditions and heals all body points. So surgery is a great way to get somebody that is stacked up on conditions like bleed and all that kind of stuff fixed up very, very quickly. But there is the chance of failure. But there's some positive bonuses to it as well. Some of my friends from other LARP games like to put it as what's the word for it? Riding the chart was the old thought process on it whenever you did magics that were risky, things of that nature. Experimental surgeries take 30 minutes and function similar to crafting master items. So, a surgery is something that you add on to a person's character sheet. It does similar effects as a crafted item, but it doesn't have a durability. If the player dies and loses an essence point, they also lose their surgeries. And so the way that works, this is meant to replicate a number of things like Frankenstein's monsters, adding extra like weird augments. So if you wanted to make your golems out of people, or you wanted to give people claws like Wolverine or things like that, you can do all kind of that kind of stuff. Very fantastical types of things. But that would be a surgery, and it's high risk, high reward kind of deal. So there's troll blood surgeries currently, knoll arm surgeries, things of that nature. Yet again, those surgeries need to be run by us, submitted to us via email, and then we give that approval or disapproval. And that is found the same way here in the email prompts. Experimental surgery is much more challenging and open-ended. Experimental surgery is handled similar to the crafting of items. Character must either have an approved project design card, or they must create one for experimental surgery. Creation of an approved project design card takes time based on the complexity of the surgery. Surgeons should discuss their plans with plot prior to events, and attempts will be tracked on character sheets for open transparency between plot and players. Players may use their research skills and other resources to attempt to speed up the production of a design card. Plot may ask for a character to playtest a design prior to approval. Final approval for playtest design cards will go to the player base for votes at the end of each season. The character has the appropriate skills and the approved design card. They may spend the resources on the card and 30 minutes of acting out the surgery on the target to grant the effect. The effect lasts until the limb that was targeted by the surgery is destroyed or the character dies. So yeah, if you have like knoll arms and that limb is destroyed, not broken, destroyed, then you can lose the surgery too. So if you had like speedy legs or, I guess the best way to put it is like physical adept powers from Shadowrun or those kind of things, some kind of augmentation to the body. Cool, cool, cool. Yet again, that's the same project design card rubric. Last thing I'm going to hit on for today, and good, this should take me till about 10:30. Haven't got any questions, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. That's fine. Spell creation. Creating a new, so to make a spell, you need to have energy. As long as you have one energy point, whether it is from a lineage or from buying energy from one of the classes, every event you can make one new spell. It very much runs the same way as the item creation. Either we disapprove the spell and we explain the reasoning why. We approve the spell and you can use it then and trade it between people. Or we play test the spell. Only you can use it, can't give it to other people. That kind of thing. Everybody can only have one play test spell and one play test item active at a time, but you can still try to submit other spells. So basically there is, if you go to our primary rules page and go to magic, it'll talk about gaining spells. Every time you purchase energy with character points, you gain access to one new basic spell from this list. And the spell list is right here, directly following that statement. So you can find it right in the magic section of the basic rules. Okay. And all of these are basic spells, and all of the basic spells are combat spells. So Berserk, remove Berserk, Charm, remove Charm. And if you have the ability to cause the effect, you also have the ability to remove the effect. But there are some spells where you'll be able to remove an effect, but not necessarily cast the effect, just so you know. Elemental Bolt does damage. Charm, Berserk, Entangle Foot, Entangle Arms, Entangle Body, Healing, Harming Touch, Hex, remove Hex, Natural Weapon, you gain a claw that's a natural weapon. Shatter, Silence, remove Silence, Sleep, remove Sleep, Slow, remove Slow, Weakness, remove Weakness. And then it goes on in this section about creating new spells. Basically goes on that kind of stuff. Okay. So every spell requires energy. That's what you need to buy to be able to learn how to cast spells. And back to our email prompts thing. Let's look at creating a new spell. So between events, you have to contact us, send us an email, follow the prompts, things of that nature. So these are the things we look for: player name, character name, name of the spell, energy cost. How many energy sticks are you going to snap in order to cast this spell? Stamina cost. Sometimes an effect mimics some of the other skills in the game, so it might require stamina as well as energy. Casting time. Most times it's instantaneous as soon as you cast the thing, but other times you might put a timer on it to make the spell cost less energy. So if you want to create some kind of ritual spell where you have to act out doing something, that might take 10, 20, 30 more minutes. It might be a more potent magic, but then you're investing that time, and that might be Hey, how's it going, bud? We already got through all the crafting of the item stuff. But if you had any questions on that kind of stuff, I can answer them. Just throw them in the chat and I can backtrack to it. But yeah, so you can take more time if you wanted to make more of a ritual spell. If you wanted to make a spell based off of an actual game, you could do something like that. If you wanted to make a spell based off of a physical location, maybe walking around the area of the effect, you can do all that kind of stuff. That's all valid casting time direction that might reduce the energy of a spell. Duration, how long that effect might last. Most of the effects in the game last until they're used. Instantaneous, so like damage is instantaneous. For the duration of a battle, until somebody hits dying, until somebody hits dead, until somebody becomes a spirit, or the event. Those are all kind of valid durations. It could also be timed, yet again, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, all that kind of stuff. But we want to reduce the timers as much as possible. We don't want people counting out a bunch of timers in their head. That's why none of the effects really have timers currently. Target. Are you targeting something you're throwing something at? Or are you targeting an area? Are you targeting a specific item? Prerequisites for the skills. We don't want magic to overrule any of the other skills in the game. So if your spell is mimicking the medical training ability, then we're going to either make that spell super expensive so that it is not cost effective for you to do that. Might be useful in a pinch, but it's more cost effective to be an actual doctor, medic, that kind of thing. Invisibility is a great one. Dom made an invisibility spell. But its cost is tied to actually having the spell on, or the stealth skill in the game. So there's some back and forth on that. So there's good reason to have those skills already. It is expensive without the skills, yeah. And we have to do it that way on purpose because we want to make sure that, you know, people that pick up those skills don't feel like they are second fiddle to the mages. And then the concept of what the spell is. Now, the big thing in regards to magic is all of our spells that we've put into the game that are publicly available are all combat spells. But not all spells should be combat spells. Some players have developed some other things that are weird and wonky and cool. Some of the effects kind of mimic transformations from other games. Some of the spells kind of mimic other concepts from other games. Super cool. But we don't want to go and just take everything from other games and just bring them in. We want to have some things that are our own. And a lot of the like Pathfinder 1 kind of spells are very, very different in their thought process versus, you know, current like 5e and all that other kind of stuff. I really like spells that do different things that are non-combat stuff. So there can be weird, wonky stuff that people come up with. And I'm hesitant to give any additional thought processes on that. But things that create extra dimensional spaces, bags of holding, things of that nature. Super dope. Could do it. We are going in the crafting section. I went over a lot about how you can make, you know, alchemy and stuff like that and all the typical items. But making buildings. So you could have your tiny hut spell, or you could have your defensive building item card, or stuff like that. Prestidigitation might be my favorite non-combat spell from other media. Yeah. Yeah, it does a lot of cool, like, little things. And some of that stuff we can't replicate in the game. Like, we can't make fireworks shoot from your hands. You can act that way all you want. But it doesn't necessarily do a thing. But for example, the mending spell. Nobody's kind of. I take that back. John actually came up with a concept for that, and which was a really good use of it. There's all kinds of spells. New uses for old spells is the best way to explain it. Yeah, there's all kinds of different wonky stuff you can do. I have an example spell in here that hits all of the things, and it tries to be expensive and very specific. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah. So whenever it comes to spells, like I said, I am hesitant to give too much information in regards to it. And I'm sorry for that. But I want people to create their own things that make them feel cool. All the things like ice armor, things like that, cool crafted items, cool spells, all that kind of stuff. All good. Dom, do you have any questions on the crafting / spell creation kind of stuff? Because I can go back now, because I think I hit all the core points that I really wanted to. Yeah. No, I love it. I like how different it is from some. I guess I got to give the caveat. Okay, so part of the reason why the spell system is the way it is because I was playing in a now defunct game called Dead Legends. Really loved the concept of it. It was post Civil War Western fantasy kind of world, and I took all of the crafting / design stuff, and I was a lumberjack and a woodworker, and I've already told this story a couple times during the hangouts and stuff, but I wanted to make items that made sense to me for that kind of thing. And every time I was kind of turned down because you had to wait till you got to game to actually craft your item. I will answer that question in just a moment. So I got turned down every time. So after 3 or 4 events, I was just feeling really bummed. So that's why the system is written the way it is, that you have to give your item creation / spell creation before the event, so we have time to look at it and see if it works with the system or not. Okay, so Dom said, I did have one question. Have we ever thought about a prop prerequisite for spells? Like you need to have a certain prop for a spell to be accomplished. Perfectly acceptable. Actually, if you go here in the email prompts section, so the sample spell was the Orb of Call Lightning. Item prop, metallic sphere with runes. Crafting type, enchanting mastery. To activate the item, must be held aloft during first incant. For 1 durability, the user may plant their feet and augment their lightning specialization, dealing 10 points of damage per level of specialization, max 30. This effect ends when the user's feet move for any reason. So included in that is a specific prop for the spell. the feet planting kind of restriction, and you have to hold the actual physical prop up and whatnot. So yes, that is something that people totally can do, and I would love to see more of that. Whether it is spell creation or in item creation too. Because that's the other thing too. Like, we could put out props into the game that teach people different spells. We haven't done so yet, but you guys really haven't interacted with a lot of spellcasters other than the basic kind of ones that have mimicked the same kind of creations that you have. No, that's for spell creation. Oh, wait. You're right. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't have a problem with using items. Yeah. I know Chaz with some of his card props, he had certain spells that required his different cards. And you're right. I apologize. That was an item crafting. I'm sorry. But yeah, you can definitely have different props for your spell casting. You can definitely have other stuff. That's perfectly fine. I think that makes perfect sense. Actually, it makes perfect sense too that you could have an item that teaches a spell kind of thing. Yeah, no, all good. No, and I kind of went over a little bit about the like building buildings and stuff. I want to hit a point for you, just because I hit it whenever I was doing this earlier. So in the forging section, the basic craft effect for forging is repair item, a tagged item, and prop. Character may repair a broken item, allowing it to be used once more. To repair a tagged item, the crafter must put their character number on the durability. We don't do that. Additionally, armor that has not lost all of its points and gained the broken condition may be repaired with no resource cost, no durability loss, and 5 minutes of acting out the repair. So I know I'm hammering a dead horse with that about armor. But one thing that I wanted to bring up is any item tag may gain the broken condition. So a building can gain the broken condition and then needs to be repaired via the craft effect. Technically a potion could be broken. Either the stopper is stuck in it or something of that nature and needs to be fixed to be used. So yeah, whenever I made that effect, it was not just for weapons and armor and all of that other kind of stuff. We can put out those buildings, and your buildings are going to have durability. So you might need to use a durability every event to keep the effects going for the event. But monsters and stuff might realize that, hey, this building is helping them in some way and come in and break your shit. And that just means you won't be able to use it until you repair it type deal. Or they could use the destroy effect and break the building outright, which would suck. But where Rob was saying about making the permanent durability items. I'll answer your question first. And that's for anyone with a crafting skill can do that. Anyone with the forging skill can do that craft effect. And it's the basic forging. It's not even augmentation or mastery. That is their craft effect. That is their Alchemy has the poisoning a weapon, and enchanting has their rune of protection. So that's their bread and butter thing. But what I was saying with the unlimited durability item, like that Rob is talking about possibly making, even if something has unlimited durability, that doesn't mean that it cannot be broken. So it would still need to be repaired. It just couldn't be destroyed fully. It will always be repairable. So plot can still take it out of the picture, but you can then repair it and do the thing. So that I like that, because then it's not like you have this thing that always works. We have ways that we can slow you down, but you have ways to fix it as well. So it ties into that resource kind of management kind of thing of it. Trying to think if there's anything else. I don't want to go too much more on these topics, because I kind of like the under 2 hour kind of time frame for it. But Dom, did you have any other questions in regards to any of that stuff? I can or anything else in general. I mean, while I have the time, might as well. Probably not doing a Discord hangout tomorrow. Or no, it wouldn't be tomorrow. It would be next week. But yeah, I might next week. Depends on how things are feeling. But doing a lot better right now. So trying to think if there's anything else crafting wise that people have really asked questions on. Honestly, that's about it. Sometimes people have questions on how many resources they think things should cost. Basically, it is one basic one basic resource for each durability that the item has, and then the common resources can be up to that amount as well. If it is a super powerful item, half of that if it is a less powerful item, and a quarter of it if it's not a powerful item at all, type deal. I think you hit most of what I would have asked for. What I was, yeah, it's, and that's the thing. Like, I wrote the systems to be pretty big. Oh, does tech crafting have a craft effect like the others, or is that just okay? So tech crafting is the combination of two or more different crafts into it. It does not have its, because it is not augmented by augmentation and mastery. Those are prerequisites for it. It does not have its own craft effect or basic items. Tech items can't be unlimited durability just because they are too intricate currently. That might change depending on how things are looking, but tech items can get up to +6 for weapon damage. Its spell or healing cannot exceed over 100 points, which mastery is 60, and there are percentage chance for possible failure and things of that nature. Yeah, all good. Yeah, I like the tech stuff from the standpoint of I always wanted players to mix and match the craftings as much as possible, and whether it's two people casting at the same time or things like that. That's another thing I wanted to bring up. There's nothing in the rules that say that you cannot come up with items that have boons for having multiple casters or multiple doctors or things of that nature. While there's no specific skills that do that kind of stuff, items definitely could. And I know that Frank made one item that allowed two crafters to be working on his forge at the same time. So there are things that you can do like that as well. Yeah, wanted to get that out there too, because that is an item that has already been brought up. It won't make much difference to me this year for the reasons we know, but I love tech crafting, so I figured I'd ask some questions. Yeah. Dude, honestly, ask any questions you'd like. I am here, and I am all for the talking about this stuff. I like this kind of setup better, because then if other people had the same questions as you, then they get that input, which is cool. Yeah. Dade and I are talking about bringing back the Western feel much more for next season. We have a lot of thoughts that we've been talking about. There have been 1 or 2 times where after work he's like, "So, boss man, we need to go and sit down and have a conversation at a restaurant, because I stayed up all night and I have my bullet points ready and I'm ready to argue you to get my point across." And I was like, okay. But no, we've gotten some good talk in regards to that, which is super fun. So I think that next year's stuff of building your own town is going to be fun, but frustrating, but hopefully in a good way for everybody. I hope it'll help everybody kind of learn these systems a lot better. But also, whenever it comes down to tech and what your character is doing, part of me was thinking about trying to invite you to come to the Draw Steel game that I was running, but that has since fallen by the wayside. I can talk about that a little bit. I was getting burnout with running games, because we were only playing like once every 3 to 4 weeks, and it was getting frustrating, and trying to learn a new system. Everybody's kind of knowledge of the system was different. Like, some people studied it hardcore. Other people only picked up their character sheets whenever we got to game. Some people liked the nuance of it, and some people didn't, all that kind of stuff. And I really wanted to give the new system a shot, and it just didn't work out, and I was getting frustrated. And so I am currently on tabletop hiatus. But I am actually playing in a game, which is super fun. And we've only done, I think we've played 5 games, and we had 1 combat so far. No, all good. Yeah. No, so what I was originally thinking of doing was having you come down, and because the stuff on other Catalosa is kind of on hiatus, and my brain is going through what is happening there now. And part of it is upsetting because of the way that the other games kind of went. And so I am looking at, whenever I start running games again in the future, I'm going to start by running like not one shots, but pre-mades. And I'm probably going to try Draw Steel, the pre-made that I was running again. But I want to keep to smaller groups, because I was running for 5, 6, 7 people, and organizing schedule was bad. Yeah. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I made a post on Facebook about it, and I've been real introspective about it. I love playing characters. I love playing characters, and I love making characters for LARP and things of that nature. But I feed off of the other players. So if it doesn't feel like they're giving me 100, I start giving less than 100. And I don't like that. But that's how I was feeling. And so I don't know if it is just a disalignment of the style that people wanted to play. And it turned into like shopping episode every time we got together. And if we're only playing once every 3 to 4 to 6 weeks, I don't want to do a shopping episode. I want to get down to the meat and potatoes of it. And while I am there to socialize, I'm also there more for the story and playing with my friends. And so playing in this game, it is just me and Renee and one other player. And so it is a small, tight-knit group, and we're all cool. I found that 4 people was the best number. I ran an 8 top once, and that was rough, but it was fun when combat wasn't dragging. Yeah. Well, so some of it is a learned thing, and some of it is a one of the big issues is either you need to have a team leader or you need to have everybody willing to drive for a little bit. Yep, I'm not asking for your opinion on that, bro. So right now in our game, there are a lot of plot points that have come out for all of us. And the nice part is all of it is semi-linked together. And some of it is not. And that was a big problem with my game is I put out a lot of content and not all of it is linked, and people automatically assume it is linked, and they come up with their wild assumptions. And I don't want to laugh at people, but I laugh at the thought process, because I was like, wow, you're chaos boarding this all to the same thing, and it's not that. And so me playing, I have to turn off my DM brain and try to play the character. So I don't want to lead. So I'm letting the other 2 players kind of lead on certain things. But whenever I notice plot points that are put out for me, I need to grab the spotlight at that point, do my thing, and then pass that spotlight back off to the other players. So I've got a lot of points that I've brought in, and it's kind of solidified my current viewpoint as the character. And so now I'm going to be a little bit more proactive in driving certain portions of the plot, but not everything. And even though my character is not a good person, quote unquote, it's also not necessarily a bad person. And it's a whole lot of me being open and honest whenever I'm thinking about doing bad things. And I've told the players a couple times, I was like, yeah, I might just put on the cursed item. I might just do it. Kind of feeling it. I had a vision that I'm supposed to take out one particular character, and I explained to them, I'm kind of indifferent on that right now, so maybe I'm supposed to, maybe I'm not. We'll figure that out. But now I've got more information, so. But I kind of love that kind of aspect of things. But I'm getting back into the characters, and that'll be super fun. Dade suggested a character for me to play for next season, so I've already got an aesthetic and a feel for that character that I'm working on, which ought to be fun. And yeah, good times. Hopefully we'll be able to help out and make everybody kind of realize, hey, this is what you had in Boulderton. Now you don't have that. So what resources do you want? Which resources do you need? And what direction do you want to see it go? And I'm excited for that portion of it. And that's where all this item creation stuff is super, super necessary. And I was trying to push that thought process hard, but whenever you only have limited players, that makes it a little bit difficult too. So I think everybody's kind of seeing the light on it, kind of making the adjustments, as it were. But having another campsite will be fun too. Hopefully, fingers crossed. All that paperwork's turned in. So after that little ramble, anything else? Any other thoughts on crafting stuff, or questions, or even little thoughts that you might come up with and whatnot? Because I know hello. Uh-oh. Hello? Well, it looks like the music is starting to pause a little bit. But I guess everything's okay. Nothing I can come up with right now. I just enjoy hearing the inner machinations of the system a lot of the time. Yeah, all good. Cool. I appreciate it. Yeah, OBS is kind of freezing up on me every once in a while. I think Dade really hit the nail on the head in the group Discord that you guys have. Whenever it comes to unlimited duration items and things like that, really got to think of what that would look like, how that would work, what inner mechanics of it would be necessary. I know he had some thoughts on that, and one moment. All good. Okay. But yeah. I think just keeping that in mind, that kind of thought process. I know you guys haven't got any of your responses. But yet again, we do that the Friday before an event. Like the Friday, the week before the event. So we will go through those. Dade and I have already talked a little bit about them and some thoughts and some ideas. I know he's probably kind of already brought it up to you guys, but it definitely is going to be, you know, part of what the weekends are going to be is interacting with these characters that have lived in this area, and how those interactions go as well. So definitely have to keep that in mind. I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that's going to be it for this time. Okay, all good. We have plans. We have things and stuff and things. Oh, that's fair. That is fair. Yeah. And the other thing that I really want to make clear is like, you guys have kind of dictated that because you were the players that were there. We want to make sure that, you know, everybody has a say in all of this kind of stuff. So, anything that you guys decide, you know, other players will have an impact on it too. Oh, okay. Yeah, not a problem. I can kind of, so with the home campaign ending, Valen kind of stepped into that a number of years into the future of that version of Catalosa, and a lot of bad things have kind of transpired. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about what you interacted with and when you're coming back and all that other kind of stuff. Like, we can definitely talk about that. Part of me wanted to actually have you play some of that, but I don't know if it's going to necessarily be in the cards. Part of what I want to talk about at the symposium too is going to be the virtual tabletop games and the ties to Crestfallen and all that kind of stuff. Because yet again, super cool idea. I'm going to come up with 2 or 3 different plans of ways we could do that and have them laid out. I run the difficulty of, I don't want it to look like a money grab. I want it to be fair amongst players so that people can take part in them and not. Yeah. I might be down, man. Like, it's one of those things. I'm just playing right now, and I want to get back into running, but I'm going to give it appropriate amount of time. I ran pretty consistently for the last 5 or 6 years, it feels like. And a lot of it was hurting cats, and some of it was bashing my head against a wall for certain aspects. And I love all the guys to death. Don't get me wrong. Like, but they all have different play styles. And I think that if I'm going to limit my time on how often I can play, I want to get substance accomplished rather than not. And so I need to have smaller groups and people that are dedicated to that style. You say that, bud, but you've hit me in the feels a couple times. Definitely the Velveteen Rabbit feel. I was like, ah! But it is what it is, man. That happens. Like, the creativity comes and goes, and a lot of it is based off of, like, if you feel that, if you're happy with the stuff that you're doing and you feel that other people are taking it seriously. I definitely hit a point where I was running the database stuff, and there was the big reveal of, yeah, the undead are actually like construct things. And one player was like, oh, that's dumb. And that kind of gut punched me, because I was like, okay, here's this thing that is different from all of the other games out there, and it was the instant dismissal. Yeah, and it was like, fudge. Like, that kind of hurts. And it doesn't have to be for everybody, but just like the understanding that, okay, like, yeah, this is different rather than the same old stuff all the time. You may not like it. That's cool, but yeah. But yeah. Getting back to the Western stuff's going to be fun. Getting back to the town building and that kind of focus is what I really want to do. And so I'm excited for that. I've learned to push those people's thoughts out of my way. Do I like what I've made has been my leading line for a few years. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Like, one of the big things whenever I ran for national, I would start writing my stories, and only like 1 or 2 people would be really, really into it, but they'd be so into it. And so they would steal my attention for like an hour or 2 during the events. And I don't want to do that, but at the same time, it was good to know that there were people that cared about the intricacies of what was going on. And that was enough. Sometimes just having that one other person that's like, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there. And I'm going to try to stop it, or I'm going to try to change it, or I'm going to try to build on it, is enough. And it makes you happy, and it makes you smile, and you know, like, your work's been seen. And then there are times whenever you don't feel that for weeks or months or years, and it's like, ugh. There's only a few things I have that I liked recently, but it's like 2 things. Man. I understand, but yeah. Oh, no, it's all good. It's all good. There are certain aspects of it that where it's like, yeah, like that's what we want people to delve more into it. But that also changed kind of the feel of the thing. Like, it was always intended, the database stuff is always intended to be in the background. Like, there is no big bad guy. We don't have a planned big bad guy for any of it. We don't have bad guy of the week planned for any of it. And that's why events felt like, oh, okay, well, they didn't have anything planned. You're right. We have things that happen to you over the course of the weekend. The goal should be made by the players. And we're not going to necessarily force feed any of that kind of stuff. And that's the learning point, right? It's we're not running Nero plot. We're not running Dead Legends plot. We're not running Dystopia Rising plot. We're running Crestfallen plot. Part of that is going to be that Sims feel of, I can do anything. What am I doing to build up my town? And then you guys interacting with the stuff. Side stuff. It's not meant to take center stage, and it happened to take center stage quite a lot these last 2 seasons. Yeah. Yeah. And we have the overarching groups that are working in kind of the shadows, doing their things. I never want to have that moment where get out of my water. Uh, the there's always the big moments. There are two big things from whenever we were running Argo that really, really upset me. One was that we had a guild master that Plot made us listen to, and then betrayed us because because Plot said so. And they were like, yes, he was an evil elf the whole time, and you just didn't catch any of the clues or anything. And I was like, there's no way to catch clues in this game. If there were ways to catch clues in this game, I would have those skills to catch clues. But there's a certain amount of leeway you give with people playing multiple NPCs that it might be a hiccup in their head. It might be a problem with that. And so you let some of that go. And I never want to trap players by throwing a big bad at them that I haven't foreshadowed for a while. So like, you guys got some of the Pertonus stuff, and some people think he's the most evil bad guy ever, and some people think he's just a dude. Cool. There's the Kuyar stuff. It's already out there. He might be the most evil bad guy ever. He might just be a dude. Dade had his stuff with the Goblin King and all of that kind of stuff. Cool. He gave me access to one of the Evil Prince guys. Super cool, super fun. I'll do something with that. They're all out there. They're all doing their thing. It's up to you guys to keep track of them and see if they're, gonna do anything too bad to you guys. So yeah. Well, but that's the thing. Like, if we don't put them front and center in front of the players, sometimes they think they can't interact with the thing. And it's teaching people. Well, yeah, there's that, man. And I get that. Like, not having enough NPCs, and I mean, that's going to be a constant problem. Like, advertising to the right people, the actors and the things like that. That's why I'm doing these kind of things. Hopefully that people can watch them and kind of get a feel and that kind of stuff. If we can't put the plot front and center in front of the players, and the players don't show interest in taking part in that plot, then there's not much we can do about that. The players got angry at the goblins and would beat them up anytime they saw them. But I think they were waiting for a module in one of the places that would help them deal with that. And it's just not like that. Yeah. And but that's how bad guys get away with things in real life, right? Like, you see the one and you lose your focus on the others type deal. And like, I explained it a couple times. Like, Pertonus is over there. Like, he's done stuff here. Oh yeah, it's totally real. And so, like, I love that you were interested in the story and all that stuff. Yeah. No, and that's exactly what happened. And part of it is, like, we lost some players. due to things and stuff. We won't talk on that. But so you only have so many players, and you only have them focusing on so many things. Like Matt was focused on his hatred of the goblins when they were there. But there was no lead up. There was no, I'm going to do this about them or that about them. And so it turned into like the thing. It's a learning experience. It's a teaching experience. And we don't want to say that you played the game wrong, but it's a different way of playing than us force feeding you the story along the lines. And you guys needed to see that it is not run the same way. That's why I kind of got upset about the Pioneer cards. Like I explained, the Pioneer cards were generating from the database. So they were always the same words on the page, but it generated in a different way every single time. So people quit doing them. Cool. But they were still there, and it was a different thing. And I was hoping somebody would pick up on that, but they didn't, and that's fine. Yes. Absolutely. And that's part of it too. Like, I never want to punish a new player for not being there for the other stuff. And that's kind of why all of the story stuff is very loosey-goosey, so people can pick up on it easier. I want people to talk about this stuff. I want people to interact with each other. I don't want it to be the nostalgic, yeah, do you remember the time when, hey, do you remember the time when? No, I want it to be do you know this time now? Like, this is what this guy is working on, and this is what this guy is working on. Yeah. It happens, man. It does. Sometimes whenever you PC, you turn off that part of that analytical part of your brain. Sadly, my brain can't do that. So there were times whenever I went and played at Dead Legends where I would be sitting in the tavern, and I would look at one of my friends and I was like, hey, you know what's most likely going to happen right about now? Yeah, we're going to get ambushed right about now. And literally a minute later, somebody would come walking in the door, guns blazing. And our buddy Brad that used to game with us, he was like, how did you know that was going to happen? I was like, it just, brain's been doing this too long. Brain's been doing this too long. But yeah, so like I think if the players pick up what we're putting down next season, we'll see pattern recognition for sure. But I think if players pick up what we're putting down, then we'll see some change in the gameplay and some growth on that, because yeah, there's a lot we can do. Like, I know Dade was ready to run stuff for the goblin encampments because Chris Colland was like, yeah, I'm gonna run at it, but he never committed. And Dade would have ran that. He told me he would have, and I was like, oh, there's no way. And Dade was like, nope, I had a plan for it. And I was like, cool, all good. If you had a plan for it, great. Yeah, there's going to be, there's no database access that you guys have, because all that got blown to smithereens. So we'll see how the symposium goes and what you guys decide to do. One thing that Dade brought up is that we gave you a lot of go-to characters to solve your problems rather than letting you solve your problems. Yeah. Yeah. That's fair, man. You saying that makes it way more justified, you know, what was done, like in in regards to everything. Sure. I'm sure you are. All good. We'll see how things go. I'm super excited to be at Raccoon, especially Raccoon at a different spot than anybody's used to. Because that was my big concern, is that it was going to feel too much like Pro or like or Next Gen or any of that kind of stuff. It's going to feel too much like Elysia, basically. And so having it being camp that nobody's used, even if it is for a smaller group, I love. Because I love the feel of the individual cabins and having to group up and protect yourself. That'll get a lot of the door barricade things involved, and that kind of stuff. Because that's kind of what I had in mind whenever I made those. But yeah. That's fair. I will tell you that Raccoon's rules said that we cannot hang up tents or anything like that. But if you choose to do so and we are not aware of it, that's not my problem. And I also know that they put up like pavilion tents, stuff like that before. So I think it looks good. I'm sorry. I figured I would let you know because it was part of the rules that I read whenever I was going through. No, and that's fair. Like, I don't mind pop-ups. Like, I was going to get the covers for the pop-ups so that it had still the canvas feel and all that kind of stuff. But no, I understand. Yeah. Okay, I gotta work tomorrow, and I am coming up on my 11 o'clock. So cool. Hey, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys coming and talking and having some comments for me to interact with. That was cool. But yeah, I'm going to head out. Good night, everybody. Have a great night, and remember, die loudly, y'all.